Hey everybody, welcome back to American History with Mr. Finn. We've been talking about the beginning of the Revolutionary War and the creation of the United States of America. Today we're going to talk about Bunker Hill, but just as a reminder, we looked at the number of people who were loyal to England still. We looked at a number of people who were patriots who wanted to create their own country. We saw Lexington and Concord happen, where the British actually opened fire on colonists for the first time, as far as the British military. So Bunker Hill is another example of the beginning of this revolution, and things look kind of good for the colonists in the beginning. And one example of this is Bunker Hill. Bunker Hill is going to be near Boston, and what happens is the colonists at Bunker Hill, we'll just set the stage, and what I'm going to have you turn in today are these notes, so let's make sure we take them. A rundown of Bunker Hill is we're going to see colonists surround Boston. All right? So they're going to surround Boston, and the British are there. The British had shut down Boston as a whole, if you remember back in the beginning of the Intolerable Acts is what we looked at. And so the colonists are around Boston. Bunker Hill's there. And the British are going to say, all right, here we go. And what we have to understand about the English military is they fought everywhere. I already told you, they were the strongest military in the world at this time. And so the colonists this is important, colonists around Boston, and they see Bunker Hill. What's important is the colonists have what we call the high ground. Now in battle, and this is just a military thing, you want to have the higher ground. So if you have, and I'll put it over here, at Bunker Hill, imagine that there's a hill coming down, and this guy up here represents the colonists, and they're happy. Hey, we chased the British back to Boston after Lexington and Concord. We've surrounded it. We're on top of this hill. We have the high ground. And this, down here, this guy is the British, and they're like, hey, we're still happy too. We have the strongest military in the world. Hey, these colonists, they're not an organized military. We'll just go towards them and they'll run away. And that's what the British think is going to happen. And so at Bunker Hill, let's explain what happens at this battle. The British are going to line up. They're going to have their flags waving. They're going to have the flutes going, and they're going to be banging the drums and making a big scene. Look how glorious this military is. And they're going to say, all right, let's just march towards these colonists. And again, they'll run. They're disorganized. They can't handle this. And so they march up here. And so the problem with this type of military action is, if you remember what I said before, the military would line up and they would have their muskets, and then they would all, in order, put them down, and then they would fire and they would be in a line. And so they march up this hill in a line with their muskets, and they're just marching. And the colonists are saying, okay, I guess here we go. As they come, we have the high ground, fire, shoot. And what happens, unfortunately for the British, is as they're walking up, they're walking up slowly, they're going to get unhappy, and then, they're going to have to run away. A lot of them will get shot at, a lot will be wounded, and they'll say, hey, retreat, and they come back down the hill. So they come up, they go back down. The British military will not stop, though. They say, hey, we're England. We're the strongest. We are going to fight again. Everyone get back in line. Here we go again. And they go back up the hill again. A second time. They come up. And guess what happens? The colonists do the same thing. The colonists just say, okay, here they come. In a slow line, walking, shoot. And so they shoot and they fire, and the same thing happens. The British go, oh, geez, this isn't very good. They run back down again. They're like, hey, Lieutenant, what are you thinking? We marched up, we got shot, we had to come down. You tell us to go back up, we got shot at, we had to come back down. There are 2,200 troops for England. I want to make sure we have some notes here, because this is what I want to have. So there's 2,200 troops for England, and they're marching up and then getting shot at and having to come down. They go back up, they get shot at, they have to come back down again. But guess what? The English say, we're doing it again. We will not be stopped. So for the third time, they go back up the hill. So for her notes, the colonists have the high ground. England, we'll say the English, keep all capitals, keep charging. And they keep, losing over and over again. They keep getting shot at and having to come down. So we have some more notes here. But on this third time, you know what? Their strategy, let me get out of your way here. Their strategy actually works. It's correct. These colonists are not organized. They don't have a lot of supplies. They don't have a lot of weapons and bullets. And so eventually, with this number of 2,200, they're going to overwhelm the colonists. So on this third time, the colonists are like, well, no bullets. They have no musket bullets. And so they say, all right, well, let's run. And they do. The colonists are going to run. They are going to just get out of there. They say, hey, you know what? We've taken the British out. We took them out again. We're out of ammo. Let's go. And they get out. So technically, the Battle of Bunker Hill is going to be a British or English win. This is an English victory at Bunker Hill. However, here's the thing that you got to keep in mind. Of these 2,200 troops, you're going to see almost, we'll do it right here, there's going to be 1,000, who are wounded or, unfortunately for them, killed in action, is what it would be called. So, killed or wounded in battle, almost 1,000, almost half of them. So this was a great cost to the English. So if you're an American colonist, you're saying, hey, this is good. Like, we fought them off, we looked strong, we just ran out of ammo, no big deal, and we got out of there. But we actually caused a very big damage to the British military. Now, this is going to be the beginning of the war, and so the American colonists are going to feel like, hey, we fought them off at Lexington and Concord, chased them back to Boston. We showed a good fight at Bunker Hill. These things are good. However, we are going to see after all of this stuff, it's going to be, we'll just say the tide will turn. Can have that there. The tide will turn on the American colonists. Things are not going to be looking great. The English are going to have reinforcements. They're going to have supply. They're going to be organized. They're going to have everything. They're going to be able to march through the East Coast. They're going to take cities. Things are going to get pretty ugly after this. But something that we will see, even though the tide will turn, something that's going to be important for us is going to be this guy, George Washington, our first president. But he's not president yet, is he? No. George Washington is going to be the general of the colonial military. He's going to be the leader of the colonists, and he's going to be named to that position. So it's going to be up to George Washington as the tide turns and it starts to go the English way, and England is doing damage to the colonies. It's going to be up to George Washington to make sure that his troops, his military, his army stays intact, and how and what can he do to defeat the English army. So this is what I want you to send in today. Show me these notes. This is the assignment for you. Again, do it today. We want to make sure we get that participation and attendance. And that's the start. So we will see all the steps that the British will take from this point and what George Washington is going to do to solve that. I'll see you next class.